Hey folks, this is Jake Davis bringing my top 5 favorite films of the decade as promised. Uh, Two little caveats before I start this. Just please keep in mind these are my personal opinions. So just let me know. I mean, if you don't like what I have to say, just tell me which your favorite films are in the comments below. Hell, do that anyway. And secondly, I don't remember what fucking secondly is. It's like 6 in the morning here. Anyhow, let me just go ahead and get right into it. Number 5 is I'm going to say Man of Steel. Now, I know Man of Steel was a bit of a polarizing film when it first came out, but to me it was the Superman movie I'd always wanted to see. It was a rough and tumble action film with high stakes and kind of sci-fi themes and stuff like that. I really, really loved Man of Steel. It is hands down my favorite superhero film of the decade, of all time. And I just felt that with this being the decade that superhero movies just finally took over the world, um, uh, I wanted to acknowledge one, and this was my favorite. This is easily my favorite film, the superhero movie. Number 4, It. Oh man, I loved It. It was just a wonderfully just it was inspiring film. You know, it kind of, as I said before, rekindled my admiration for horror. I mean, I've always loved horror. I never really stopped watching horror movies, but it's like when it came out, it's like it showed me it's been so long since I'd seen a horror film that was truly. I mean, just it's truly exceptional on every conceivable level. I mean, the acting, the writing, the makeup effects are revolutionary. The score and photography, it was a superior film. It was a masterful movie, and it's probably the film I've seen the most from this decade. I've probably seen it 100 times. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if I was already in the triple digits with that movie. Uh, Number 3 is gonna be a tie. It's a tie. I want to tie it. I'm gonna have The Social Network and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Why these films don't really have anything together in common other than, well, I kind of see them as the greatness that cased the decade. You know, Social Network in 2010 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019. The Both films were instant American classics, and both films are masterstrokes from American filmmakers. Both Tarantino delivering the best film of his career, and David Fincher delivering one of the best films of his career. This was just the Social Network being this uh, intimate detail about friendship and manipulation, but all told through the true story of Mark Zuckerberg building his empire on Facebook and the people he betrayed along the way. It's a great film. It is so fast paced, just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Both films are very, very kinetic and don't really drag in any way whatsoever, and kind of both have the sense of being over before you know it. Brilliant scripts, terrific acting, and I wanted both films on the list. Number 2, I'm gonna say The Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street is a goddamn drug. This is an addictive film. I could watch this movie again and again and again and again on a loop. I just love The Wolf of Wall Street. The energy, the performances, the attitude of the movie is so explosive and so and just in your face. It's a great movie, and one of the best performances of the entire decade, if not the best performance of the entire decade from Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what to tell you about, because it's really just about a bunch of scumbags hustling people on the phones. uh, but I mean, there's no fighting, really. There's like one scene where a guy get punched in the face. There's very little nudity except for some little pink and a quick shot. Uh, oh no, there's a few other scenes of some strippers and hookers and DiCaprio snorting cocaine out of a butthole. It's yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street it's a film that feels like it's something you've seen before, but it is truly, truly unique to itself. Um, and my number 1, my pick for the best film of the entire decade easily goes to Gone Girl. David Fincher's Thriller is a heart-stopping thriller of just, when you talk about twists and turns and thrillers and mysteries, I don't know if any film ever perfected it in a better way. An epic, epic thriller, an epic murder story told in four parts, and great performances from Ben Affleck and a criminally unappreciated performance by Kim Dickens, but most notably the fucking towering powerhouse freight train performance from Rosamund Pike. Uh, the fact that she was the film's only Oscar nomination, uh, just as criminal. I mean, they must have just been asleep at the wheel for that movie. That's a masterful film with beautiful photography, fucking heart pounding editing, uh, and the brilliant manipulation from the director of the audience. It could not be a better movie. It really could not be a better movie. Um, I even did this weird little list way back when I first saw it of 10, I posted on Facebook, 10 pre-existing film titles that could also work for Gone Girl. I know they were like, Kiss of the Spider Woman, The Lady Vanishes, She Devil, stuff like that. uh, anyhow, I hope y'all like this list. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. First off, the Grand Budapest Hotel. Damn near made this list, but I really wanted to include my personal favorites like It and Man of Steel, the real crowd pleasers genre films. But Budapest to me was like one of the most original films of the decade and the most quotable movie of the decade. The Captain Phillips, which another just classic, brilliantly, perfectly made film. The superhero films in general this decade have been astounding, but from the MCU, I gotta throw praise at Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the first Avengers film, and the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, as well as not in the MCU, but Wonder Woman. Truly was an exceptional motion picture. On the horror film scope, you also had great stuff. You had both Conjuring movies. You had Insidious, The Babadook, Cabin in the Woods. It was a superb decade for genre films. Then you had Mad Max Fury Road, the most badass Best Picture nominee of all time. And in a good decade for cartoons, I'll go ahead and throw an honorable mention for Toy Story 3 as well. Anyhow, I hope y'all like this video. Uh, Another quick little thing I'll tell you that my personal favorite director of the year is not Tarantino, David Fincher, barely beating out Tarantino. He only did 3 films this decade, and that's like DiCaprio too. Only did 8 films this decade, and some of those, I mean, I didn't see J. Edgar, and I hated Shutter Island, but those other 6 films were some of the best stuff of the decade. Except for The Great Gatsby. It was still pretty good, though. Yeah, I hope y'all like this comment. Share, like and comment, share, subscribe. Do, if you want. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.